Hello and welcome to this free training, free webinar, The Secrets to Running a Profitable Real Estate Business. This topic is near and dear to my heart because I've been working with literally thousands of real estate agents and real estate professionals. And one of the things that keeps coming up is there's so many things to do. There's so many things to learn. You're kind of running around all over the place. And there's just never enough hours in the day. So this free training is going to address some of those challenges that you might be experiencing and how you can shift that to truly run a profitable real estate business. Welcome everyone to this free training. I'm excited that you're here, and let's get started. Before we dive into the presentation, I just want to take a quick moment and introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. My name is Marianne Weiler. I'm the owner, principal at Weiler International Business Coaching and Consulting. And I consider myself a global citizen. I was born and raised in Germany, and I moved to California in my early 20s for a position in a German company. But since then, I've come around quite a bit. I've lived and worked internationally. I spent many years in California, which I absolutely adore. I was in New York. I lived and worked in Connecticut, and I was on Hawaii. So you name it, I got around quite a bit. But I'm also a former corporate executive, and most recently I was the Senior Vice President for Marketing and Business Development for one of the largest affiliates of Sotheby's International Realty in New York, and we covered $3.6 billion in sales volume, 26 locations, and approximately 1,000 real estate professionals. So prior to that experience, I actually have been with the Coldwell Banker brand, and I've overseen marketing for the areas in Connecticut as well as Westchester County in New York, and I covered a territory that had over 2,200 agents. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I've worked with literally thousands of real estate professionals, amazing people, and I have seen how busy they are, how many different balls they juggle in the air. So hopefully this free training will help you get some techniques and strategies to address some of those. So my company, we advise and guide brokerage firms, executive teams, and real estate professionals in the areas of making their business more profitable. So no more working longer, working harder, but actually working smarter. But the way you do that is by optimizing your real estate business and improving your results. And with that, you have to identify opportunities for growth and align the structures to support the growth of the organization. So that, again, it depends if you are an individual real estate professional, if you're leading a team, if you might be managing an office, or if you're managing multiple offices. But it comes down to effectively organizing and developing organizational structures that actually support your growth and your business transformation. And that ultimately will lead to increase your profitability. So with that, we want to look at your return on investment and really evaluate the initiatives that you have in place and whether or not they're moving the needle and they have an impact on your success. But also the cost efficiencies, which kind of goes along the lines with your return on investment, and also eliminating any redundancies. And this is not something that is just happening in bigger or smaller companies or businesses. I've seen that across the board, that at times there are redundancies in place that perhaps were forgotten or that weren't realized that they are a cost center that is no longer viable. So in essence, we provide the guidance to improve the results and increase profitability while transforming the real estate business. And this presentation and this free training and coaching program that I've developed were born out of a need. So many real estate professionals, as I said in the beginning, suffer from the idea that working longer and harder will grow their business. But actually, nothing could be further from the truth. There truly is a better way, and that way is optimizing your business. And that is what we're going to talk about today. I'm very grateful of those experiences working with amazing real estate professionals, literally on a global scale, but it allowed me to get a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities that we face, particularly in the real estate industry during such a disruptive moment in time, but really in an ever-changing world. And I'd like to share with you one recent example and what we've been working on. And that actually is based on the same 4 steps that we're covering here today. So the situation, or the challenges, I should say, were, as many businesses are facing today, there is an increase or new competition, right? And nothing is ever standing still. So having competition come into the market, doing things differently, of course, tabbing into a market that the brokerage at that time was the leader in, represented a certain challenge. But what made matters worse was we were in a weakening and shifting real estate market, and we can still talk about a shifting real estate market right now, and obviously that will depend where you are located, in what market you are at, because that is very different, especially when we're looking at international markets. But also, we were looking for growth in new markets, and we invested in new markets. But with that, of course, especially in the beginning, there is a financial strain, and perhaps the brand awareness has to be created. Whereas in other markets where we were very well known and we were the leader, and brand awareness was over 90%. So that brand awareness had to still be developed in these newer markets. And also, additionally, we had somewhat of an internal disconnect among the functional teams, meaning the sales has different needs, marketing has different needs, accounting, finance, and sometimes when there are different needs in place, and if we don't fully understand where the other function or the other person is coming from, it leads to a disconnect. And finally, we had somewhat outdated organizational processes as well as redundancies. And that was based on having had a company of a certain size. And then when you go into growth, some organizational processes just don't work anymore. They don't support that growth that we were undergoing. So it was time to find solutions. And again, it was based on the same 4-step process that we'll go over here. We developed solutions that included making internal processes more efficient and cost effective. Because again, when there are redundancies, we're spending money on things that are not making a difference. So really analyzing, looking at that was one of the solutions. But then also attracting new customer groups. With new markets come new customer groups, or perhaps the audience that we were speaking to prior was moving out of the state, and we had to attract more families in this case, or some newer groups that would see value in living in the markets that we represented. But also providing value internally and externally, because agents are all independent contractors, and so having their individual brands as well as the corporate brand that supports what they do, it has to go hand in hand. So we've developed customized marketing that really highlights the individual brand of the real estate professional that is working in a particular market, but also developing digital lead generation solutions that were innovative in a way, where we would drive more traffic to open houses or to listings, and we're able to hyper target that ideal audience for that particular listing or home. We were looking at the organizational structure and aligning that with the company need, and more specifically, how much of the functions had to be centralized in the corporate headquarters versus local in the markets. For example, marketing was a big topic there because there has to be some tasks have to be done, or functions have to be done on the corporate level, but then that support has to be there on a local level. So we've implemented and put that in place. We've also leveraged partnerships, either existing partnerships or new partnerships. There were some partnerships in place that we didn't leverage, but had tremendous advantage for us as a company, and not only in the existing markets, but for the new markets. And then new partnerships, primarily in the digital sphere, where we would team up with digital partners that would generate those lead solutions. And then finally, leveraging the market leadership for the new markets, where, as I said before, where we had that brand awareness and we had that image of the global leader, we would take that brand awareness and leverage our brand in those newer markets. And results at the end of the day is all that counts, right? We can put all of these things in place, but what we have to look at is, does it actually bring us the results that we were hoping? And in this case, it did. We increased the exposure, we increased the lead generation for our listings, for our agents, even the personal, professional branding of our real estate professionals. And that, of course, increased the satisfaction levels among our agents as well as their clients. We also increased agent retention and recruiting efforts, because the word travels fast when agents are talking amongst each other. They're seeing the agent from the same town or in the same territory having beautiful branding campaigns done, or just very very innovative and amazing branding as well for their listings as for their personal brands. We also, on the corporate side, looked at the operational effectiveness, and we increased that effectiveness tremendously. Not only did we have bigger margins, but as a result of that, we increased our profitability and we're working our business much smarter. And then finally, the motivation performance has been improved both on the corporate side from employee standpoints, but also the real estate agents. So before we go into the 4 steps, the following points identify some of the most pressing common challenges that management teams and real estate professionals have expressed and are faced with right now. And maybe you are dealing with some of these challenges yourself in your real estate business. The first one is finances and business have been negatively impacted or on a downward trend, and you're just not sure how to turn it around. The second one is that you have a steady number of expenses, but your revenue might have changed or it's even declining. And then the third challenge I'm hearing over and over again is revenue producing services have lost on importance, and you have to do things differently. And perhaps your brokerage even offers different technologies, resources, and tools, but you're just not sure how to pivot your offering or how to work it. So if you see yourself in either of these scenarios, the information we'll cover will get you started thinking in the right direction and assist you in getting back on track. And the goal here is that within each unique business and situation, we need to identify the key areas that need addressing. Also, the components that we need to evaluate, and finally, determining viable solutions that help us to transition and ultimately transform our real estate business. So as a first step, let's go into understanding why it's important to proactively manage your business. And you might think that's obvious, but we probably all have had those moments where our strategy was hope and we just wanted to wait it out or go back to what it was. Unfortunately, the reality is that it rarely ever does either of those strategies prove to be an effective strategy. And there is actual power in proactively dealing with whatever it is that we're faced with, and however difficult it might seem. Because when you make that decision to take charge of the situation, you actually move forward in a constructive way. So sweeping problems under the rug, that doesn't improve your situation. But when you start dealing with them, that's when they will. So to give you an example from my own life to illustrate this point, I want to take you back a few years and share with you an experience that set the tone for my own financial health habits. So I personally grew up in a middle-class family in Germany, and my father was a breadwinner for our family of 4, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And when I was a little girl, I watched my mom balancing the checkbook, and I was so intrigued by that I decided to do the same. So ever since I had charge of my own finances, I've been religiously managing my finances, both on the personal as well as professional front. And what I found is that especially during times of transition or crisis, for example, for me, when I decided to pursue a graduate degree in the US, effectively managing my finances became the deciding factor whether or not I could make my dreams and plans a reality. And I'm sure you had dreams and plans when you started your real estate business. So keep in mind here, when I was a young adult and I wanted to pursue my MBA in the States, the cost of living and education was significantly higher than it was in Germany. So when balancing my finances, it was a very rigorous process because for a long time there was little room or for any out of the norm expenses. So it became very apparent at that point how much, if anything, was left at the end of the month. And this concept is mutually applicable in business. When times are good, we don't have to watch finances so carefully. But if they're tight or we're in a crisis, we really need to take inventory and we need to face those realities. So why and how is having a budget and effectively budgeting critically important in your business? It gives you a vital understanding of what's coming in and going out so you can effectively manage your finances. But most importantly, it uncovers whether you're running a business that's sustainable in the long run and is prepared to deal with any type of disruption. And not only that, but when you're trying to understand the why, not having a budget creates volatility, and that can cause fear or anxiety, and fear really never is a good advisor. So as soon as you make that decision to take charge of your situation, you're moving to a place where you are moving forward in a constructive way. So ask yourself, do you have a budget in place? And if you do, what does it look like? Is it up to date? What are your financial health habits that you've established over time? Are they healthy or are they not? Are they supporting your growth or are they hindering your growth? And what needs to be dealt with right now? And what is your current situation that needs addressing? So again, keep in mind here, focus on what's in your control. There's so many things that are happening around us that we cannot control. There's no point in spending your energy on those things that you cannot control. Focus your energies on the things that you can make a difference and that you can analyze and identify in your real estate business. Which leads us to step number 2. Step number 2 is taking inventory of your finances. And the main question here is what's coming in and what is going out of your business. Taking inventory of your finances allows you to determine the potential cost reduction necessary. So you get a really good understanding of what financial situation are you in and is it sustainable. So when taking inventory of your finances, ask yourself, what are your revenue sources? And don't think simply in terms of sales or commissions, but do you have dividends? Do you have any rental income? Do you have any other revenue sources that you can include? Put them all in. And if your revenue has declined significantly, then also review your assets, your emergency funds, such as savings, credit lines, to determine what type of resources you can easily access, liquidate, or turn into a revenue stream. Again, it doesn't mean you have to liquidate those, but knowing that they're available if you do have to is a good place to be. Also, not all expenses should be treated the same. There's some that are must and critical to your business success, and others have very little to no influence over your results and income and impact. And I've seen that many times where, we're spending money on things that are not moving the needle, and we have to step back and analyze, what are we spending money on, and are they actually making a difference? And then on the other hand, what non-essential expenses can you cut easily? Those that do little or absolutely nothing to make your business a success. So now that we put a check mark behind uncovering your existing expenses, it's time to look for opportunities, because you don't want to get stuck in the crisis management mode. You want to start looking and identifying for solutions to create income or additional revenue streams. And that leads me to my step number 3, identifying solutions. So the question here is how? And let me just say up front, don't be afraid to ask for help and involve experts inside or outside of your organization for advice. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to find the right answer. And there are a number of questions that you can ask yourself to discover your unique reality and your solutions to what you're faced with. So some key questions here to ask yourself in this discovery phase for solutions are, what services do you currently offer that can be transformed or expanded? And how can you remarket your services in order to meet a current need for your client? And with that, think virtual, online, digital, or remote. And how are you currently delivering your services? Maybe there is a better way to adjust your delivery that would actually spike your revenue. So those are all things to look at. What are you doing right now? How can you expand that? How can you change it? How can you deliver it differently? Get creative and really get your brainstorming going and get creative, your creative juices flowing here. Additional questions you want to ask yourself in this phase. Are my services as relevant as they've been in the past? And that might be a tough reality if you realize that they might not be as relevant. But when I say relevance, one other thing that you have to remember here and ask yourself is, who is your ideal client? Do you even know who your most loyal client is? Because that is a key factor on really increasing the relevance of your services to them. What keeps them awake at night? Ask yourself, because by analyzing your ideal most loyal client, you have an opportunity to actually find the solutions to their biggest pain points and challenges. And we all find ourselves where we want to talk about what we provide and what we do with the features, but really it's about the benefit to them. It's the solution that you offer to their problem. And their problem today is very likely different to their problem 6 months ago. So ask yourself, who are your ideal and most loyal clients? And then treat these clients like gold. As I said before, they are not only your most critically important clients, but they're also a source for referral business. And that is the single best way to expand and grow your business cost effectively. So now that you've looked at what's coming in, what's going out, and identified viable solutions for your business and clients, we can move to step number 4, the final step, which is an absolute critical one on a long-term basis. This is not a one-time do it and put it to the side. This has to be done long-term. Every area of your business can be optimized. So looking at that, here are the key takeaways. Committing to optimizing your business operations will not only allow you to run your business more cost effectively, but you'll also create bigger margins. And perhaps most importantly, you gain more control, you gain more focus, you gain more clarity in your business, and that will actually support your future growth. So now let's talk about optimizing and effectively planning ahead. And to get started, let me take you back in time again here for a moment. I shared with you that I decided to pursue my MBA in the States, and the cost of living and education was significantly higher. But to make matters worse, as an international student, I was not permitted to work in order to support myself financially. So I had to earn and save enough money in advance before coming to the States and entering graduate school. So juggling multiple jobs during my off-school hours, I actually saved up enough money to finish this program in 2 years. But planning actually saved me. And perhaps most importantly, I became extremely good in leveraging and optimizing my resources and getting creative about how I would make it work. So the key lesson that I learned here is that not everything is in our control. And so be prepared for situations that you can't control. And when I say control, keep in mind here, again, focus on what you can control. We can't focus on the things we have no influence over, or dwell over what's happening to us, because it doesn't help us, not personally and not professionally. So take the time to appreciate what's actually going well, or even the progress that you're making along the way. Another key lesson I learned is that when times improve, or during good times, securing a security fund for worse times is a great idea. And you'll be so grateful you did when you're faced with less than ideal financial realities. So most importantly here, there's almost always a way to better leverage what you have when you start getting creative with your resources and you focus on what's critically important. And that is true for large businesses. It's true for medium-sized real estate businesses. It's true for you as an individual real estate professional. So when looking at optimizing and sustainably managing and planning for your real estate business, go back to the foundation and analyze your unique strengths, your points of differentiation, and also the use of your resources so you can connect with what's truly critical and true for your unique situation. So ask yourself here, why did you start your real estate business? And what were your dreams and your aspirations? And connecting with that why will help you find the solutions that you're looking for. What are your strengths and what do you do exceptionally well? Because chances are, if you focus on your strength and you do the things that you do well, you're also enjoying your work much more. And that shows that energy that you bring to your clients and to everybody interacting with you will show, versus if you're trying to focus on the things you're not good at and you're trying to improve them, you're going to feel terrible about it if it doesn't work. So focus and expand on the things that you're doing really well and that you enjoy doing. And perhaps the things that you don't enjoy, you can see if you can get creative about getting certain help or support in those areas. But also consider opportunity cost. What if you were to focus on the areas of your strength and allow for that help in other areas, and focus on the initiatives that have the biggest impact on your business success? Where would your business be if you're able to make that happen? Also ask yourself, do the systems and processes you have in place meet current requirements within your industry or actively support your growth? What's your current organizational structure, and does it support your long-term goals? The bottom line here is you want to laser focus your time, your energy, and your resources, because time is money and we all only have so many hours in the day. And not only that, but you want to focus on what makes you stand out from your competition and find meaningful solutions for your ideal clients' problems, as we said before. Don't try to be everything to everyone. And then turn it into your overall plan and be intentional about it instead of reactionary. So we're coming to the end of this mini training, but you might wonder if there's a next level resource to help you work your way through this and determine solutions to your most pressing problems. And I alluded to the 4-step program I developed in the beginning of my presentation. So if you found this information, this training helpful, chances are that you would benefit from this program that I've developed. And I would be honored to help you get your business back on track and get you profitable and really optimize in your individual real estate business. You can find more information or enroll in this online coaching program on my website at weilerinternational.com / running profitable real estate business, or just under programs. You'll see the program right there. So thank you so much for your time today, and please follow us on LinkedIn for insights, for news, for updates, and I look forward speaking with all of you again and hearing from you how your business is going. Thanks so much.